Thank you, Mr. President and Senators. You know, I agree with some of the other senators when they've said it's really difficult to debate only against Senate Bill 1108 because it is interrelated to 1110 and 1113. It's kind of like the song, and I'm not positive this is the name of the song, but I think it was called Love and Marriage, and it's kind of, you can't take one, you can't take one, you can't take one without the other. That was almost on pitch, too.
Mr. President, a point of order. Do we have a Senate rule on singing?
No. But if I sing, we'll have one. Senator Bilyeu, to continue debate.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good Senator. That was a good ruling. Senate Bill 1108, in my opinion, is the beginning of dismantling our current public schools in Idaho by punishing teachers, and that's really what it does. And you know, the public knows it. Even my hairdresser knows it. And I know that many of you have noticed that my hair is a bit of a different color these days. Well, I do this from time to time, and I had it colored and cut Tuesday evening. And my hairdresser asked me, she knows I'm a legislator, and she asked me my position on the education bills. And I said, well, I did not favor them. And she said, well, that was good. She said, my daughter, you know, made a sign and went down to the rally yesterday. And so I asked her, I said, really? I said, well, so what motivated your daughter to attend the rally? And I guess I expected the answer, well, her teacher asked them to do it, something like that. That was not the case at all. And I was really impressed. She just said, oh, no, it was not her teacher, nothing like that. She said, my daughter is just a sophomore, but she's really concerned about a number of things. Number one, she's concerned about larger classes, losing some of her teachers, and of course the other bill, which I guess I'll just kind of slip in, about the laptops, and opposed to that. But she said her daughter made her own sign, and then she had to walk to the rally because she said, I had to work. And she said, I just told her, well, just don't get arrested because I have no money to come down and bail you out. And her daughter went down and did rally. And I guess my point in relating this is to let you know of the disapproval. I mean, these kids love their teachers, most of them. And this bill, 1108, harms our teachers and our educational system. And in my opinion, our teachers should be honored. You know, they're some of the most important people in our lives, and we should be finding ways to help our teachers and to improve their working conditions and to encourage mentoring and additional education and not finding ways to punish them. And this bill does that. And yet, you know, our teachers are professionals, and they should be treated as some of our most respected people in our society. Many of you know that my husband, Chick, taught school for at least 30 years, both in Pocatello for Idaho State, and then he went on to teach in Idaho Falls as an adjunct professor after he finished his teaching at Idaho State. And he was just a wonderful teacher. And he was supportive and loved by his teachers. And his greatest thrill was when one of his students would recognize him and they'd say, oh, Professor Bilyeu, you have no idea what a difference you made in my life. You not only gave me confidence, but that's why I stayed in school. Because, you know, I came from a very poor family. Some of them did not, of course, but many of them did. And they said, you gave me the encouragement to keep going with my education. And you know, our teachers at all levels are so important. And so I just say, let's give our teachers the respect and tools they need and deserve. Are there some teachers that need help? Maybe they even need help to find a different profession. Of course, there are those teachers, but you know, 1108 doesn't help teachers. It's disrespectful, and they need a hand up, not one that slaps them down and then punishes them. This bill not only helps get rid of the beginning of the 770 teachers that we've heard about, but also many of our experienced teachers. They won't be there to nurture and to mentor new teachers. And you know, I can't help but looking at our own Senate and thank goodness we have experienced senators that can nurture us and mentor the new senators as they come in. And they have that institutional knowledge that is just unmatched. And just speaking of our Senate, you know, I really don't want a virtual Senate. I just don't think it'd work very well. I like to talk one-on-one to somebody. But educational reform should be done to help students achieve, not to punish our teachers. It should create new partnerships with teachers, administrators, school boards, students, and parents. Senate Bill 1108 doesn't reform. It punishes, and it's confusing. And I could go through the different pages on the bill that, at least to me, they're confusing. And I see where we're adding a director. We employ assistant superintendents, and then we add directors. And then we talk about evaluating our teachers, and we talk about objective measures of growth in student achievement, whatever that means. I'm not sure that's defined anywhere. And it says, as determined by the Board of Trustees. And does that mean that each Board of Trustees throughout the state might be different? I mean, the bill just goes on, and I think it is rather confusing, and it certainly does not follow what our Constitution tells us to do. And may I read from the Constitution, Mr. President?
Having identified the source, the senator may read.
Thank you, Mr. President. From the Constitution of the State of Idaho, which was approved July the 3rd, 1890, and Article 9 talks about education and school lands, and I will just read Section 1. And it says, the legislature to establish system of free schools, the stability of a Republican form of government depending mainly upon the intelligence of the people. It shall be the duty of the legislature of Idaho to establish and maintain a general, uniform, and thorough system of public, free, common schools. And I will just say to you that many of the changes in this bill in 1108, it certainly takes away our uniform system of education. And I agree with the words of our good senator from, I think, 22. Let's keep the magic. I urge you to vote no on this bill.